Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on most social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. We're going to get right into it. Got a special guest by the name of Micah. Thank you, sir, for coming on. Go ahead and introduce yourself and say hello to the listeners.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. My name is Micah Munger, and I am a Air Force vet from the Guad era. Served 2009 to just shy of 2004 when I got medically retired. I was, Air Force crew chief, tactical maintenance, etc., yada yada.
Nice. Okay. Well, we'll go right into it. Thanks for coming on.
Um,
Go ahead and tell the listeners where you're from, when you enlisted, and when you got out.
I'm currently from Nebraska, and there more than anywhere throughout my life. I've lived all over the place. I was born in Washington State, and then we moved to Indiana. Then when my parents split, it was a whole thing. Came to Nebraska, where my grandparents were, and she's originally from. Moved to Michigan, Missouri, back to Nebraska, and then I went into the Air Force in '99 after I got out of high school. Served '99 to just shy of 2004 when they put me on the TDRL list for medical retirement. And then after about 5 years of that, they decided that I'm not going to be any longer serviceable and just completely medically retired me.
Well, congratulations, right? I guess it's a step up, right? That's good. I mean, where were you stationed at?
So basic training down there in Texas, then my first duty station after tech school, which was also down there in Texas, did a month in Florida for OJT. First time putting hands on live jets and whatnot. Then first duty station was in Test Squadron in Edwards in the middle of the Mojave Desert in California.
Hell yeah.
It was interesting. Got to see a lot of stuff that you wouldn't otherwise see, and didn't realize how good I had it until I left, type of deal, as far as just an ops tempo standpoint and actually not being worked to death. Got to meet some interesting people. My first pilot on my jet was the pilot who flew the F-15 to shoot down a satellite. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all. Doug Pearson. And then
Wow.
I had Chuck Yeager flying my jet for the air show while I was there. There's a whole story involved in that we won't get into today because it would involve some not so choice words. And then from there, because I had put in on my dream sheet to go everywhere overseas, like Italy, Japan, and I didn't realize in basic that the key to doing that is to put in for an extended long tour. So then when I was at Edwards, I updated my dream sheet, put in for extended long tours, and ended up in England at RAF Lakenheath for a little over 3 years.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was definitely an interesting time. I was PRP. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not. So that was its own whole headache and increase in ops tempo.
Absolutely. We have
Thing,
the PRP system here.
yeah, that and then part-time, especially after like 9/11, got tasked to work with security forces as an augmentee for part of that. But yeah, so tactical aircraft maintenance is about 42% manned, I want to say. So even without your fuck ups, you've got one dude doing the work of 2 to 3 people. So it's not your typical chair force office 8 hours and early offs type of job. It's you're spend 12 hours on a jet, and then after that you're stuck doing forms, cams, paperwork, taking out trash, everything else that you would normally do. So it's quite a bit. It takes its toll.
I believe it. I'll tell you what. And what happened that you had to get retired, if
Officially,
you don't mind?
no, not at all. Actually, it's something that people should look into more. There's not really any official cause that they noted, but basically, after I was about halfway through the anthrax series, and we had to get anthrax, yellow fever, anything you can possibly think of to be vaccinated for. We had to do it. But halfway through it, my immune system just went berserk and started attacking me. It gave me an autoimmune condition that's kind of like a combination of, well, the official diagnosis is mixed connective tissue disease, which really means you've got a disease so rare there's not a name for it, so we're just going to lump it into a classification of other unknown diseases that are autoimmune related. It was giving me tendonitis and arthritis and everything else, all sorts of joint and muscle pain. My rheumatologist that had down in Phoenix at the VA there. Saw a number of guys that had mixed connective tissue disease diagnoses, and she said, "Yeah, you guys are all over the place. Some of your people present like you do, or you've got a combination of. At the time, it was just mostly the rheumatoid and inflammation stuff. Others having more scleroderma type symptoms and more cardiopulmonary, which I've run into since then later on, and it's been a bit of a whole journey, and kind of managing my health is a day-to-day war or that I end up having to fight. And there's been a lot of things that I've found along the way that help, but it's bad enough that they had me on fentanyl and Dilaudid for the better part of 15 years until they decided that nobody needs opiates for chronic pain anymore. And that was brutal.
Wow, how was that transition?
It was rough. I would not wish it on my worst enemy. I mean, it was bad enough that because you're in a ton of pain already to begin with, and it's slightly managed. Then they take that away, and your baseline ability to deal with pain has been kind of hobbled over the years to begin with, and just kind of said, well, walk it off. Didn't really replace it with anything or have any other kind of answer to fix that with. I was awake for a good week or so without sleep, just not being able to sleep between the increase in pain and then like the withdrawal from the medication until
No,
I
sir.
blacked out and came to about half an hour later on my bedroom floor one day. It was bad enough that I literally, I was a lot beefier. I've had a lot of muscle wasting over the years due to stuff, but it was bad enough that me, being the idiot autist that I am, had taken psych classes and understand how the brain and the body are wired, and that you can kind of short circuit pain signals and stuff by introducing different ones in different places. And this wasn't any sort of like a suicidal self-harm or cutting type of a thing so much as I jammed a knife into my shoulder meat so that I could stick my finger in there and kind of like short circuit the rest of it temporarily. That's how
What
bad it was.
the Jesus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, right? That's kind of sucky.
No,
That's
yeah, the
already
whole thing's
painful in
been kind of
itself.
sucky. I've done every treatment avenue is basically beat the shit out of my immune system so that it kind of stops beating me up. I've done 3 different courses of chemotherapy for it, not the radiation, just the infusions. Any number of different biologics, cancer, and anti-transplant rejection drugs because again, the whole game plan is beat the crap out of my immune system. So it's been a journey. And other part of it is that if I push myself too hard trying to just function or be more active or whatnot, then I can get backlash from that as well. Like when I moved back here from Arizona, because when I got out, I went to Arizona. It's where my mom and sister were at the time. So I got out and was going to school down there. Well, when I moved back here, I ended up putting myself in the ICU, pushing myself too hard. I was in there for about a week, in it like tubed and everything on a ventilator. They had this really bad infection and a what was it called? Yeah, basically the pain and inflammation and everything had also made my blood pressure so high that my heart was pumping fluid through the wall of my heart into my chest cavity. They had to get the infection under control when they got me off of the ventilator, then put a plate on my chest, zapped me to stop my heart so they could stick a needle through my back and suck out about a liter of what looked like frothy piss, and then zapped me back to life, so to speak.
What the?
Yeah.
I mean, to
And
each
then
their
my more
own. I don't.
recent,
It sounds like an adrenaline junkie. My goodness. But wow.
well, I mean, not really, but kinda. I mean, you would think so, but
Yeah. You're. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're
I am a
still
bit of a
here,
thrill
and I
seeker,
could
but
see you.
those weren't the thrills I was seeking.
Yeah. Really. Well, I'm glad you're still sitting here. How are you? Well, let's backtrack a little before we get to more. How are you? What are you doing now? Exactly. School? Are you working? I know it's hard to work, right? But
No, it's damn near impossible to work, and that's taken its own toll because I don't know from one day to the next if I'm going to be functional or if I'm going to wake up in a pool of sweat with a fever and fighting my arms and legs to just be able to pull a blanket back over me. Normally, you see me on a day-to-day basis if I'm out and about. If I'm out and about, I'm feeling pretty good. Otherwise, I'm just kind of couch or bed potato trying to rest. But if you saw me on the street, you wouldn't really think there's much anything wrong with me unless I'm limping around or whatnot, which happens to. But needless to say, due to all that, it's made it kind of to where I can't work because you can't really maintain a job where you don't know if you're going to be able to show up and you're regularly missing like 2, 3 days or a week without any sort of advance notice or anything
Yeah.
else. So that's been pretty rough. I
Let me
did
ask
go to
you.
school when
Yeah,
I
go ahead. Go ahead.
had first got out for, I was doing double major in tech forensics and network security, and with a minor in Japanese. And then somewhere through my third round of chemo and family stuff, I said, you know what? I don't have to work. I don't need to keep pushing myself for completion of a piece of paper that is going to be something I'm probably not going to be able to use anyway.
Yeah. So now what then? Just take it day by health.
Yeah, just trying to stay above ground to raise my son, uh, and get. I bought my childhood home here off of my mom around 2019, moved back, and it's a bit of a project. It sat for, oh, a good couple decades, and houses built in 1910 don't really tend to like that. And then more recently, that's kind of back burner because my grandpa died, and his place is across the street here. He lived to be 101. He was a
Wow.
World War II Army vet that was trained as replacement infantry and then served as a company clerk in Japan during the occupation because he opened his mouth and they figured out that he was able to type, so he got that stuck in that job.
Hey, we all need it. We all need
But
them.
so currently I'm trying to get his place bought off my family, get it rentable, and then to where I can put that money back into both places and get them all fixed up because it is just a shame for they don't make houses like this anymore, like the quality of craftsmanship and materials, and it's just would be a shame to let them go.
Yeah, for sure. What do you? I'll backtrack a little bit. What do you miss the most out of service, Micah?
Oh, I miss the hell out of it. I mean, it was an honor to serve and be able to be a part of something bigger than myself like that to begin with. And the love for my country. I grew up the whole 9 yards, traditional, stereotypical Murica, hoo we love freedom stereotype. And it's sad to see that that's kind of like gone by the wayside and that culture has been eroded. But that the camaraderie and sense of purpose, I guess, are probably what I miss the most as opposed to now a lot of the time I just feel like I'm kind of rudderless.
Yeah, interesting. Do you ever talk to the buddies that you serve with?
Yeah, we stay in touch. That's the main reason that I've still got a Facebook account is because it is easy to find people. Your phone numbers change, email addresses change, but you can usually track each other down through somebody else if even if you get banned, make a new account or whatnot.
That's good. I'm
So we
glad you're
stay
staying
in touch.
connected. It's good, man. What's the one thing you don't miss?
Oof, what I don't miss.
I said one, not many, just one.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to narrow it down. Weekend duty, like the days that you're supposed to actually have off where you get called in to work a jet because something's broken and you've got to cannibalize parts out of one perfectly good jet to fix another one because the parts aren't
That's not
there. And
allowed.
it is allowed. It's standard practice.
Yes, it is.
It's unfortunate, but it is.
That's funny because they frown upon cannibalizing parts, but yet
We usually have at
this.
least one can bird at all times in fighter squadrons.
And in the Marine side of the house is probably more than one. Probably more than one. That's awesome, though. So you're still in Arizona, right?
No, I moved back to Nebraska to a
Nebraska. That's right.
tiny town of about 700 back in
Wow.
2019.
Do
And
you?
most of the
Do,
year, it's just me and come here. Me and this.
hello. What's
This
his
is the
name?
general, Lieutenant General George Wolfington.
Wolfington. Wow. That's good, man.
All right, off, going.
What's it called? How do you like Nebraska compared to Arizona?
Oh, I love it. I don't miss Arizona really much at all.
I like the heat. I don't like the cold.
I'm over the heat. I did it for way too long, and I like the cold better in that you can always put on another layer. There's only so much I can take off before I get arrested. That and my body just does not do well with temperature regulation in general.
That's true. That's probably why cold is probably better for you. I mean, they say that cold baths prevent or trigger something in the body where it hurts less, so to speak.
Yeah, there's a whole response mechanism that goes on there that's really good. I would love to get an ice bath, or I mean, if I won the lottery or something, a nitrogen bath, because that's been one of the big things that I've found that help with all of it is cold therapy. There is, I mean, that's only one part of it. I came across Wim Hof method actually one day when I was about at my wit's end and I was watching something and a clip of him on Jordan Peterson popped up. And he's got this whole three pillars thing, a combination of breathing techniques, so like guided meditation breathing, which was different than anything that I'd done before. And I always looked down on this kind of stuff as stupid hippie crap until I was watching that and he was talking about a bunch of the Teams guys that do it, and I was just kind of like at wit's end, and to where, you know what, I'll try just about anything. And it has been a huge help between the breathing techniques. Like I'll sit down and I'll do 3 rounds of it, and the way you go about it is a bit different than anything that I had seen before, because you'll do like 30, 40 deep belly breath in and out, and then you release and exhale, and then you hold, instead of like holding your breath with your lungs full. And I'm not very good at explaining the science of it at all, but it goes into vagus nerve stimulation and autoimmune response and all sorts, or immune response and all sorts of things. But it's really good for depression, anxiety, immune health stuff, inflammation, all sorts of things. And I would
Yeah,
really encourage anybody that's struggling with any of that to look into it.
yeah. I was just about to ask. I mean, I know that you're not physically able to work out and get buff, and it might hurt a little bit here and there. But I was going to ask, how do you make your mind right when physical fitness is not at the forefront?
I mean, I just gotta do what I can do. I'm not completely worthless in that regards. I can actually exercise somewhat sometimes. I just kind of have to regulate and take it easy and make sure that I don't push myself too hard or go at my own pace, and not beat myself too much on it when I can't, but also not let myself get lazy about it. Just make excuses not to, because it is always there's always that struggle even when you're healthy. I don't feel like going to the gym today. You make the excuses for yourself. You got, I think it was Jocko that I had listened to. He was talking about, you got this lazy lawyer in your head, and he's great at making excuses for this, that, and the other thing, and helping you litigate in your head that, oh yeah, justify just kind of giving up or not putting in or the effort. But you just don't listen to the lazy lawyer. You gotta stay on top of it. How did he put it? He said, you gotta be your own soldier and your own general. So you sit down the night before, write out your general orders, and then the next day you're the soldier and you just execute.
That's
And
good.
I
That's good. That's a
try
good.
and try and just maintain all of that. And more importantly, I try and focus on appreciation, gratitude, and keeping God at the forefront of things in my life instead of letting everything run too far amok. Because it is by the grace of God that I'm here. I've lived through so much crap that I should be dead 10 times over. Because, I mean, I've run into a hill doing like about 100 miles an hour without seat belts before. Not on my, like, I wasn't the driver. It wasn't intentional. It's just something that happened. Walked away from that just fine. Everybody else did too. Jumping off of stuff that I shouldn't jump off of. Doing all sorts of stuff.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I can't take credit for my being here on all that. God apparently had some purpose he wasn't done with me for, so.
That's true because you're still sitting here and we're on a podcast together. But I got to ask you, um, transitioning from the uniform to civilian is rough for people. Was it rough for you?
It was extremely rough, and I never really managed to do it, largely in part to my health issues, because I'm, again, not like out here working a job. I don't have a clear path forward in that regard. Eventually, maybe I'll be able to figure something out where I start my own business or my own podcast or something that I can do. But in the meantime, I've just kind of been one day at a time. And like I said, trying to focus on being appreciative for what I do have instead of letting what I don't have or would want get at me, and just trying to live my life and raise my son the best that I can. And he's an immense blessing, better kid than I could have ever asked for, extremely helpful, and he's been a good purpose in life.
That's good. That's good. Without purpose, there's men and women, and they tend to go through this into the black, so to speak.
Yeah, you spin out. That was and is one of the hardest parts, in my opinion, of transitioning from the military to civilian life, because you go from this tight-knit brotherhood serving this grand purpose essentially to you're just another guy and where you're going from there with it.
Absolutely. What advice can you give service members struggling to transition still now to this day, even that they've been out for months, weeks, years?
Man, that's a tough one. I guess I would say get involved with whatever you can, really. Utilize the tools that are available to you. There are different programs, and I know there's a lot of the times the ball gets dropped as far as transition programs or education or how you get into one thing or another. Get into your local veteran communities. That's one of the things that I do miss about Arizona is they had a really good active veteran community. People would get together, party, hang out, shoot, all sorts of stuff. And you get a lot of knowledge in circles like that with people and tools that you wouldn't have had otherwise. I think there's a lot of work to do in a lot of places as far as that goes. There's not really a whole lot where I'm at now for good support for veterans, but use what you got available to you. And even if there's not, there's Facebook groups and even just stupid meme groups on there, like military meme groups and stuff. You can a lot of times meet some people who a lot of ideas or knowledge that you can utilize.
That's good, Micah. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's good, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Find purpose, find a group, whether it's a big group, little group, funny group, not so funny group, but find a group of veterans because that veteran community is pretty strong. I would agree. Everybody that comes on as a guest says find a group, find purpose. Within that group, you'll find purpose if you don't have it already. If you're struggling with transition, struggling with purpose, find a group of veterans, Facebook, do what you got to do. I do appreciate the good gouge, Micah. I know that time's precious to you, time's precious for me, but thank you for your service. Thank you for coming on. I gotta ask you one more question before we start wrapping it up here. What's the darkest moment that you can recall since you've been out with your struggle, with your health, with losing purpose? What's the darkest hole you've been at? And briefly, if you don't want to share too much, don't. Just briefly share us with that traumatic experience and then how you came from it.
You know what? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because it's a bit of a constant struggle up and down between the um, dealing with PTSD stuff and everything else with my health. Probably after I got moved back here and I was at my weakest coming out of the hospital ICU there, and just being way more isolated and alienated than I should have been because I didn't really have much in the way of a support network or group anywhere here locally. Been gone long enough that you knew everybody, but you don't know anybody anymore, type of a thing. And all my friends and family had kind of either moved or just lived somewhere else. Reaching out to what you do have, regardless of where they are, is huge. And I had friends that call and check on me and say, hey, you know what, come on down to Texas. We'll hang out, go do something, or all over Florida, and check on your friends. Buddy check is not just some dumb meme that you see pop up on Facebook every once in a while. Give them a call if you haven't heard from them. Make that a routine thing to do because you never know what kind of a difference or impact you're going to have on them by doing it.
Absolutely, buddy checks. That's good. I've seen that before, so it's every weekend for sure. So that's good advice. Good advice. Good advice. Thank you for coming on, Mike. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your experience, and most of all, we appreciate your service to this country. Any last save rounds? The floor is yours. Last minute or two. The floor is yours. Any last minute plugs? Go ahead. It's for you.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of anything. Thank you for your time on that. I guess a shout out to, you know what, I'll plug my little brother. He's a vet too. He's got a Nebraska Edge and Tool Company that he's working on. So
Absolutely. If you're in
that's
Nebraska,
about
check
all
out
I got.
Micah. Check out Micah. Where can they reach you at if they want to know more about Micah?
Sinvex Actual on Twitter, or just you can find me on Facebook, Micah Munger.
Absolutely. If you want to know more about Micah, Sinvex Actual, Twitter, and on Facebook. Sir, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G and Micah Munger, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, and on some social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. Ladies and gentlemen, but me and Micah, we are out. Sir, I will be talking to you later. Thank you for
Thanks again, Gunny.
Stand by, contact. Cease fire.
podcast featuring active service members to discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.